Good evening. Welcome to the public event, Producing Public Value Through Cross-Sector Social Partnerships. This event is sponsored by the NYU Abu Dhabi Institute in collaboration with the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group. I am Professor Sonia Ospina, Faculty Director of the Research Center for Leadership in Action, RCLA, at the Wagner Graduate School of Public Service at New York University at New York. This event is also part of one of NYU Abu Dhabi Institute's regional collaborative seminars. RCLA invited 16 scholars and reflective practitioners from the Middle East and other parts of the world to engage in conversation for 3 days on the topic of how to do research on cross-sector social partnerships in the Middle East. Tonight's event will be facilitated by Bethany Godsoe, Executive Director of RCLA, who will also introduce the participants. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Monir Bouganem from the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group, who will also welcome you. Thank you.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you as participants to this Hiwar seminar session that is organized in partnership with New York University, Abu Dhabi Institute. Hiwar was launched last April as a series of sustainability seminars that focus on current issues through the lenses of practitioners from the government, business, and not-for-profit community. I'm glad to see today these three sectors interact on creating a public value. Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group was established in June 2008. In this auditorium, 15 founding members from leadership organizations signed a commitment to adopt sustainability as a management approach and to be transparent about it through disclosing performance information on sustainability issues. The mission of the group is to promote sustainability in Abu Dhabi by providing policy support and sharing of knowledge and experience by government, private, and non-for-profit organizations. The group now includes 27 members of Abu Dhabi leadership organizations. We have 12 other organizations in the pipeline, and others are waiting to join. I'm delighted today to see here three panelists who are among the top ADSG leading professional community. Thanks to their dedication and others in the group is moving forward with greater aspirations and achievements. I would like to thank New York University and Abu Dhabi Institute for co-organizing and hosting this event, and I look forward to enhance our partnership in the future. Thank you very much.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here with you this evening and to be able to learn with you and from you about your collaborative efforts. We'll spend about up to an hour having a conversation among ourselves and then turn it over to the audience and have all of you have an opportunity to ask questions of the panelists. And I do encourage you not just to respond to my questions, but to speak among yourselves as well. I may, at times, move the conversation on a little bit, and that's simply because I know that there's so much to learn from this particular case, and I want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to do so. So first, let me introduce the panelists. We have Dr. Jamila Khanji, who's Advisor of Research and Studies at the Family Development Foundation. We have Ali Al-Rahbi, who's Vice President for, I want to get all of these, Quality, Health, Safety, Environment, and Security at Dolphin Energy, and who came in from Qatar today to be with us. So I want to thank you especially for doing that. And of course, importantly, Mohammad Al Jawdar, who's Director of Policy and Strategy at the Environment Agency for Abu Dhabi, and I'm told the mastermind behind this Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group. So I'd like to have you begin by talking just a little bit about the organizations that you represent and their role vis-a-vis ADSG. So how did they come to be involved with ADSG, and what's the role that you're playing now in the collaborative effort? Would you like to begin, I think?
Yeah, maybe I start. First of all, I'd like to thank New York University for this opportunity to present the Abu Dhabi Sustainability case, and also thank the audience for attending this meeting. To start, I am from the Environment Agency Abu Dhabi, which is the competent authority in Abu Dhabi on environmental issues, and we deal with environmental science, research, management, in all aspects. And through the years, through doing strategic planning and working with different stakeholders, we realized that protecting the environment could not be done without creating true partnership with other sectors, and especially in Abu Dhabi, the private sector, who is responsible for development, and also the civil society. But the case of Abu Dhabi, there is no strong, or the civil society organizations are not yet developed. So not-for-profit organizations became the target. And that's how in 2008, after taking the journey of sustainability management within EAD and learning lessons, we came up with the idea of setting up a group of leadership organizations. And we invited, I think as Munir mentioned, in 2008, 15 organizations to set up the group. So for us as Environment Agency, we see this group as a mechanism and a vehicle to achieve environmental sustainability, but also through the partnership to achieve other sustainable development objectives from economic and social perspective.
Thank you so much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everybody. I'm really pleased actually to be part of this, and thank you for everybody attending this event. Dolphin Energy actually is, for the people who are not fully aware of what's Dolphin Energy, it's actually a unique initiative that two countries in the region strategically decided to have this project where we are investing in the natural gas in Qatar and delivering clean gas to UAE to be used as for the power generation and for the customers here in UAE side. And as I mentioned, it's been one of the first actually projects between two countries in the region, and we found it's to be a unique initiative or a unique opportunity where we can actually give more benefits to the community other than just between the two communities as well, and we link them together not only through business-wise, but also if we can also link them through other initiatives as well. When we in the UAE side, the decision that when actually had the opportunity to be involved with the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group, the management from our side, we found that we should be responsible or have the responsibility from a social aspects to actually provide or try to invest in the community or the surrounding community here, in which way, or at least find a way or a mechanism by which we can have interaction with the community around us and support them in as many areas as possible. And ADGS, we found it the right vehicle, actually, let's say, to give that support as much as possible in one way or another.
And you are a founding member, is that correct?
We are a founding member, yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you. Doctor.
Bismillah, good evening everybody. It's an honor for me to be here today, and I hope that we can really contribute to you in a positive way, and that you will benefit from your time assigned today for this meeting. Family Development Foundation used to be, before 2006, an NGO. His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, the ruler of United Arab Emirates, issued a law in 2006 saying that Family Development Foundation is a government entity. It's for family to address issues, challenges regarding families and focus in women and children in particular. When we say social is a very broad term. It has to do or address many issues or concepts. For that, if you say social, you have to take care of the economical part, health part, and also environmental, because it also has to do with the World Health Organization. When you say health, it has nothing to do with absence of disease. No, health, it means all type of high standards of certain level of being healthy, environmentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and even in the work in a place. In fact, we deliver program and services to our target groups, which are the family, especially focus on women and children. Also, we address the elderly people, the senior citizens, by integrating them with the society, because most of the times they are isolated, they don't integrate with youth or children. In fact, joining Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group was by effort by the group themselves. By the way, it's an option to join the group till now, but we hope one day it will be obligatory for us to join it, because it's a learning process. What really differs between other entities and our entity, that the public sector or all the government sector or the private sector, they have what we call corporate responsibility. For us, we don't have only corporate responsibility. We deliver programs for the society. For that, our responsibility is more deeper. It's stronger. It has to do to address challenges and issues, problems, to put solutions to these problems. For that, it's not that part only. No, we deliver services, programs in that terms. In fact, it's an advantage to join Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group. They are very active. Maybe we have joined them 1 month ago, about 6 weeks, but we learned a lot from them. We hope that we can keep the pace with them, because we have just met last week with a very important project under their supervision. It's about Emiratization. But I think it's very important to join them, because they have very high standards of KPIs, which really address the issue of sustainability in terms of how to manage it and put a strategy for it. We know now, international and universal-wise, everyone now is saying this sustainability. Everybody is saying sustainability. It's very fashionable. It's here and there. UN and all the countries at all levels, we are really having this very fashionable term. And at the same time, it's not only responsibility, it's an ongoing process, and it's a commitment. And it has to do with many values, personal values, moral values, social values, future values. For that, it's very important for me, and it's very beneficial to join them. And thanks for all, and I hope I wasn't too long.
Wonderful. No, thank you very much for the good introductions. So we want to get into talking about the nature of the collaboration and how you work with each other and so on. But you've raised up the topic, and the fashionable topic, as you say it, as sustainability. And I think it would be important for us to ground our discussion in the challenge of sustainability, the nature of the challenge. And so I'm wondering if you could define for us how you think about sustainability, both from your point of view and your organization, your primary organization, and how the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group defines the challenge of sustainability.
Well, you see, I think the challenge is in the definition itself. So there is no one definition for sustainability. But the most common definition that we use, and I think most of the world is used, is the United Nations definition, which is sustainability means development that meets the needs of the current, but also does not endanger or hamper the ability of future generations to meet their needs. From environment point of view, we are mostly concerned about our environment and how to protect it in the face of development. Today, Abu Dhabi is going through a major development through diversification of economies, so new industries are being brought, and development by nature has negative impacts. And as an environmentalist, our role is to minimize those impacts and, if possible, to move into a positive mode. So sustainability for us means how do we manage to protect our environment while in partnership keep the development going on, whether it is economic or social. So it does not mean that absolute environment protection. It means that there will be compromises, that in certain times maybe some economic option is viable and sustainable, though it might have some negative impacts. So the consideration, I think, in terms of sustainability is both current needs and also future needs. So how do we balance? It's very difficult, and I believe the challenge is not in the definition, but the challenge also more into the application. So how do we agree that this social option or this economic option is sustainable, not for today, but also for tomorrow? And that's, I think, a dilemma, not us in ADSG or Abu Dhabi. I think the whole world is trying to come to a kind of a solution, a system to measure sustainability of options.
That's a good question. Building up in what Mr. Mohammed was saying, I fully agree. Sustainability, to define that, it depends on how you look at things, or what perspective as the sector is looking at in one way or another. In the private sector, or let's say in the energy sector, it's become common now in these days is that we put some priorities, or we define some priorities within our organizations. And these priorities, some of them are internal and some of them are external. Mm-hmm. And how can we interact, or how we relate these to each other? And I'll give you some examples, but just to continue on this discussion, and we monitor these priorities and we see how we are performing, or how we are we set up targets to these priorities. We put some kind of objectives or goals, let's say, how we can improve on these priorities, how we develop them. For example, environmental protection, human development, employments, some sponsorship or support to certain areas or facets in the community. That's based on a general strategy we set up for sustainability development, or let's say the social responsibility, looking at what kind of business we have, what's our mission, what is our vision towards that. We try to link that together in one way or another when we are defining our priorities. We try to measure our performance, let's say, on a yearly basis. How we see are we performing in one way or another, and what is the return value, not in money wise, but actually, are we adding value? Mm-hmm. Are we improving? Are we doing actually something on that in each area? And we translate that into a sustainability report, and annually that we produce, and actually it's distributed publicly. So anyone in the community can see how we are performing in these in our areas, or the sustainability areas that we let's say defined early on in our business, related to our business in one way or another.
In fact, for us as a social entity, sustainability is a challenge. A challenge in terms of having that balance between now and tomorrow, the short-term objectives and the long-term objectives. By having a balance, by deciding our priorities, as my colleague Mr. Ali said now, and to prioritize our needs for the future. For that, we have responsibility to decide for now and for the future at the same time, and it's not easy because when I say short terms, it means like 5 to 10 years, but when I say long terms, it means 20 and above. For that, this approach is not easy, but at the same time, it's achievable. It's achievable if we adopt a scientific approach, if we have like a statistical oriented approach, to have our figures, statistics in a very detailed terms, we can achieve sustainability. When we say social sector and sustainability, it means we should train the trainers. If I'm allowed to use this. Train the trainers, it means we should empower all members of the family to play their roles in a very effective and efficient way. For example, now we have a program called Shower. Shower, it means come and consult us, and we provide free consultation services. For that, for us, we put for us this year a target, for example, to have like 1,000 advice for the group, for the target group, but after 5 years it should be 200 or 100. Why? Because at the same time we are training parents how to solve their own problems, how to solve their problems as parents, as husband and wife, also as all members of the families. For that, for me to have sustainability terms as an active term, it means that I make sure that all members of the families are playing their roles in a very positive and effective way without referring to FDF. This is very important. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So they're taking on the agenda themselves, yes, and owning it.
It's very important because every time if like parents or couples have a problem and they refer to us, it means I did not have any impact on them. But it means that, no, I want to have impact, positive impact on them by let them doing what is supposed to do to be done by them without referring to an advisor or consultant or so. Also, we have the responsibility of reducing certain rates like divorce rates in the government and other outcomes which are recommended by Abu Dhabi Executive Council. Thank you.
Okay. So I can see that sort of the spirit of your definitions are similar in a way. You both are sort of looking at the long term and the short term and trying to find balance. You're finding balance across multiple dimensions. And yet you each bring a different perspective, as one would expect, right, given the differences of your institutional roles. And all of you talked about tensions, long term, short term, internal, external. How does all of this get negotiated within the context of the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group such that you can move forward in a coordinated way? Does this show up in your dealings within the partnership?
If I may, I think the approach if you look at our mission, it's about promoting sustainability through providing opportunities of learning and knowledge sharing. So So that's the
Say it one more time.
knowledge, learning and knowledge sharing. Our mechanism
Learning
is
and knowledge
basically,
sharing, great.
we are as a platform for the open dialogue and cooperation of all members on key issues of sustainability. And recently we've identified actually we are working now on 3 flagship programs. We've identified key sustainability issues for Abu Dhabi out of our dialogue with members. One of them in the social area, which is sustainable labor practices. And we are focusing on Emiratization being the most, let's say, critical and important issue for Abu Dhabi. That is the employment of UAE nationals and taking them into workforce. The second flagship program is on sustainable procurement, where we believe that through the purchasing power of the government and private sector, we can manage to create a market for sustainable products and services. And the third issue of importance is waste management. The way we operate is we create a task force from the different sectors, different organizations, and they meet and discuss. First of all, they share knowledge of what's going on, because key issue is that we don't have integrated planning. So you have the government planning on one side, you have the private sector planning on the other side, and there is not much of open dialogue. So the group, first task that we do is we bring all parties that have done work, key stakeholders, and they share what they are doing. So in that way, we find duplication, we find gap in terms of data, and we agree on key issues. Once that is done, then we go into the next step of designing a kind of a roadmap. Where is the gap? How do we deal with it? So we're working now on the Emiratization issue. Tomorrow we have the first workshop on sustainable procurement, where we will share experiences, international experiences of the Irish government, the British government, the New Zealand government in terms of public procurement. And also we will be discussing what are the issues in Abu Dhabi and how do we move forward. So I think that's one of the mechanisms that we use in terms of dealing with sustainability, voicing different views, and also agreeing a common agenda of action.
I totally agree with Mr. Mohammed here that the big advantage of ADGS is to provide a platform to share knowledge across the sector, the different sectors in the society here. The private sectors, even though they're part of the society, but not necessarily are fully aware of the issues or the key issues to be addressed or to be looked at in the society. So having this dialogue with the, for example, with the NGOs or the governmental sectors, it benefits us as well, and benefit the private sectors to look at or maybe form their priorities or their programs or, let's say, strategies towards the areas that should be looked at, the areas to be addressed, especially that in some areas we can provide the technical expertise to support let's say, the governmental sector. Maybe that we have expertise or experience in dealing with some of the issues. I'm just giving an example, waste management, for example. With dealing with the waste management issues, that we have already previous or long experience in that, not necessarily is others are faced before, like maybe the NGOs or the governmental sector. So it is, I believe it's a great opportunity to where this dialogue happens, or this platform that we give them, we share the knowledge, we can provide the experience, all the support, and for us, let's say, when I say us, just taking the private sector in general, is to help us or to give us a guidance. What are the areas that we should support, focus on, or make it in our priority list in one way or another?
Now, Dr. Jamila, as a new member of the group, have you experienced this dialogue format yet, or the knowledge sharing? And what has been your experience as a brand new member entering the group?
In fact, the most important thing or value with the group is what we call knowledge management. Knowledge management, it means that the flow of the information is very flexible from the group to others. For that, I found this. I have experienced this with them recently, although it was short time of experience, but I could see that as a witness, if I'm allowed to say that. In fact, for sharing the knowledge or the knowledge management, maybe if I am allowed to refer to the culture, it's not something well known to us in our culture. For that, it's like the other terminologies like teamwork or partnership, strategic partnership. These concepts are very new to us, and to adapt them or implement them, it's a real challenge for us, because sometimes you don't know the borderline of transparency and knowledge sharing and confidentiality. Sometimes, it overlaps. For that, maybe by time and by more experience, we can really set for us a path how to manage these things. In fact, for us in FDF, or Family Development Foundation, our approach is a little bit similar to this, but we conduct in a very regular way a survey which has to address the needs of the community. We call it community needs assessment. We ask the target groups what do they expect from us, what do they need from us. Then we do benchmarking, best practices, studies, design program services that address their needs. Then we evaluate this, but before evaluation, we sit with our stakeholders and strategic partnership. Then we tell them what we need from them and we expect from them, and what we can offer them as benefits by being part of this process. Then we evaluate what happens every year by having the real impact on the society or in the family from our programs. This is in a very, very short
If I may give an example in terms of how this three sectors working together to resolve and solve sustainability issues. Abu Dhabi is made of three regions. This is for the people who don't know Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the main, but we have Al Ain region and we have Western region. In Al Ain, we have female nationals, locals, who are looking for jobs, but because of, and jobs are mostly in the city of Abu Dhabi. And there is a distance of a traveling distance, and because of social issues, ladies won't leave and come to work here. And we have one of our private sector organizations who are trying to set up a call center. And they are now considering setting up a call center in Al Ain. Economically, it's cheaper for them to set up there than here, but also that provides work opportunities. And that's how, through this dialogue, they are working together now to come up with that solution, which is, I think, is a good, the private sector interested in saving cost, and that's an option that they will take, but also they are contributing to resolving some social issues.
So through that example and the responses before, it's starting to be quite clear what the benefits are, right, of bringing these different actors together. But I want to take a step back and understand a little bit better how this approach of creating a strategic partnership or a public-private partnership, a cross-sector partnership, how that emerged as the means to addressing the sustainability challenge that you talked about before. Why originally did you choose to try to bring these different parties together?
Well, maybe as I mentioned earlier, we saw a gap in terms of these sectors working together. And that came, I think, when in 2006-2007 the government of Abu Dhabi adopted its 2030 vision, which calls for the government to restrict its function to what other governments do: set policies, regulations, and enforce them, and get out through service provision. And that role should be taken by a strong private sector. This is the vision of Abu Dhabi, that in 2030 the government will be doing this policy, regulation, and enforcement, but private sector will provide services. Now, for that to happen, we needed a mechanism to empower private sector participation and to listen to what the private sector has to say, because if they are going to be responsible for actual service provision, then they need to be part of the solution. And again, as I said, from an environment perspective, we needed this platform to empower us to protect the environment. But from a sustainability point of view, a sustainable development, a platform where private sector has a voice and the government has a voice and the not-for-profit organizations where they share and become responsible. So it came all from the idea of being responsible. I mean, if we want to achieve sustainable development in Abu Dhabi, then we all needs to be responsible. And then we looked at, okay, where do we start? Who has the most impact on sustainability in Abu Dhabi? It's organizations, and it is the government organizations. Today, the government is a developer and also private sector. So we said, okay, so our target would be leadership organizations in Abu Dhabi, and within those we are targeting leaders and managers. And that's where we focus, because if we manage to transform leadership and management in organizations, then their policies, actions will be sustainable and we will have impact. And I think this is how we grow as a group. We started with 15, now we are 26, and we are attracting more members. And gradually, I mean, we're trying to grow gradually and take it step at a time. We are very careful in terms where we position ourselves, how do we, so I think that's where the idea, being responsible and being transparent. These are the two values that the group works with. Being responsible through sustainability management, being transparent through sustainability reporting.
If I may add, yes, as I mentioned earlier, we have a commitment, part of our mission in our organization to be socially responsible. And and we've been, there are many ways we explored how to actually to serve the community, how to support in one way or another, how to invest, let's say, in any programs that will actually serve the community. Now, traditionally, organizations in similar business we are, we focus on environment more or less because of our nature of business. We may have one way or another some kind of impact to the environment. So our focus was how we can actually set up programs where we can find something sustainable development to the some aspects in the environment surrounding us in one way or another. Now, when during the formation of ADGS, we realized that we can widen our perspective, or widen the areas that we can actually and tackle other facets or other areas that we actually we can contribute more to it. One part is a human development, had mentioned by my colleagues here, training, education, one way or another. But what I can see was important here is that we set up a platform, or we can actually make a structured approach how we can actually work together. In the past, I believe, maybe I'm mistaken here, but organizations, they were working more or less in a standalone fashion. They want to do something, they have the commitment, they want to do some programs or actually do some kind of support to the community. And they were working maybe in one way or another, standalone fashion, and coming up with their own ideas, coming up with their own programs. But that may not necessarily been giving a lot of, or more efficient, wasn't that effective or efficient one way or another. And we are, when having this forum together or this group together, I think we have the ability to think more in a structured way or a more systematic way. We be more collaborative in our efforts, so that we can come up with more programs that more effective and more, let's say, efficient, and ensure that it will have a better return or better value to the community.
On this, do you have something to add on this point? Go ahead.
Maybe my colleague maybe said very important and valuable things, but to me, I would look at it from different perspectives. In fact, to sit together in one table, private sector, public sector, and also as strategic partners under the leadership of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group, it really achieves what we say the national analytical efforts. The national analytical efforts is a phrase or a concept when all parties sit together in one table, define the problem, analyze the problem, and suggest solutions, recommendations for this problem. This is in itself is a very valuable thing to do, because if you have like a national problem or challenge, you don't expect to solve it in 1 or 2 years. You need at least 5 years to find real solution to this problem. For me, it's very important that all parties sit together at one level, they speak one language, they define the problem, well definition, they are all aware of it, they raise the awareness of the issue itself, because the definition of the problem itself is a very big value. And this is what has been done by the group. And the second phase is to find the solution and implement the solution, then evaluate it in the long term. That's why the UN have what is called common assessment for the countries. And this common assessment from the countries is required not by only the government entities, no, by the government entities, private sector, and the social, what we call now the civil society organization. Here in Abu Dhabi, I can't find like very much representatives of the social or civil social organization, because the definition is not applicable to what we have. But normally in the UN, I have like experience when we went to CEDAW last year. They really consider the assessment or the reports which comes from the civil society organization more than what is considered from the government itself, because they think that they complete what is incomplete, or they complete the limitation of the government. For that, they really give it a very great value. But here for the sustainability group, maybe it's very important for us as nationals or as UAE nationals or as different parties to sit together in one table, define the problem, suggest solutions, recommendations, then we give it to the decision makers, maybe they will adapt it, and this is, for me, it's a very, very big value. Thank you.
So you've mentioned several times these kinds of collaborative processes, this dialogue, this knowledge sharing. We've talked in our collaborative seminar that we're conducting right now about the fact that this way of working isn't necessarily natural, that it takes extra effort to work across these boundaries of sector and role and so on, and that it requires a certain level of trust among the individuals involved. So I'm wondering, was that just there immediately when you sat down together, or did you do something to build a space in which you're able to share knowledge freely and maybe even share information that doesn't put your organizations in the best light to take up the opportunity of learning, for example?
I think when we started in 2008, there was, at that time, I think there was lots of energy because the government in 2006-07 started this public reforms, came up for the first time with a policy agenda that describes the future. Elements of that vision were excellence, sustainability. So 2008, there was this energy, and we came and we said, okay, we want to create this group. So we were lucky, I think, the members who came and contributed. Of course, we picked leadership organizations who all their leaders believed in the sustainable development, in the policy agenda, in the change that was going on in Abu Dhabi. But the representatives who were there also, I think we were very lucky that we got people who were really keen on doing something. So, and I think that was the success, that it just happened. I mean, we picked the organizations, yes, because we sent invitation to 15 organizations, but we did not decide who represents. So I think there was this energy in 2008. There was a great belief in doing something good. And we spent 2 years actually focusing on building capacity within organizations rather than doing this collective impact. So our efforts from June 2008 till June 2010 was geared, first of all, to understand what is sustainability. So these new organizations, even us in the Environment Agency, till now, we don't understand fully. We know that it is a process. So we spent 2 years building capacity. We did lots of training, knowledge sharing, coaching, consulting, convincing. So the members within their own organizations, they went back and spent lots of time. So June 2010, the 15 founding members were very successful in issuing their first sustainability report. And that was, for us, actually a huge achievement. So I think it was this energy, it was the combination of organizations, the members that came on board. We did not touch on external issues. We were all talking about, okay, how do you do this within your own organization? So now we are dealing with issues that are of collective impact, emiratisation, procurement, waste management, education for sustainability, and such issues. So
that's right. I think it was. I wasn't there when they started. I wasn't lucky enough to be there, and I just. But I think it was a learning process. Yeah, you mentioned if it's not natural. You just mentioned. I believe it will not be natural at the start. It's because it was new for everybody, for all the sectors. How can we actually deal with the government sectors in this area, and also the non-profit organizations? So everybody, I think, was in a learning curve, let's say, in one way or another. Yes, I think the major contribution to the success so far is the individuals who actually were involved at the start. They had the energies, they had the commitment from their side. So, of course, it took them. The journey was long. I mean, not too long. I mean, 2 years is. I mean, I can see it. It's very excellent to achieve what we have achieved in 2 years only. But everybody has to go through this journey, in my point of view, to set up the understanding of everybody, to see what exactly what we want to achieve here. We want to have a common goal. What is our common goal? What we achieve? What are the areas that we want to work on? So yeah, I believe it takes that much of effort, and not in this organization or this experience, but in other experience I was involved in, you'll find these boundaries where maybe people are still careful. They don't want to be too close because they don't know what's exactly they should do. I mean, it's naturally people will be very protective, not to let information or share some of the experience until they understand what the other party's perspective, and then they to reach this kind of understanding. Yes, we are working on one common goal, and this is where we need to get into it. Yeah.
Okay. Our system here in the government of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi is like having the executive council is our umbrella as government entities for that policies, monitoring, or like evaluating our strategies, quality of our work, excellence, everything is from the executive council. The executive council recommends that we should implement the strategic partnership strategies or methodologies. For that, it is recommended by our executive council.
Across the board,
across
not just
the board.
on sustainability, but
no,
everything.
Across the board. Now, it is recommended by the executive council, and Abu Dhabi, or the sustainability value, one of their values is to have transparency. Transparency, it means to reveal about knowledge or information in the right time. Okay, now it's very important. Strategic partnership achieves sustainability. For that, if we can see it like this, we work under the umbrella of the Executive Council. Executive Council recommends to use strategic partnership as methodology to achieve our objectives. Then sustainability, one of their values is to have transparency. Transparency, it means to reveal about knowledge which really let you achieve your goals. Then, because we don't have any kind of high level information. No, we have statistics, we have program and services. For that, I think it all serves each other as different parties to achieve our goals, and that comes to the community and the society. What we give as public entities or government entities and private entities comes back to us in the society.
Thank you. So having been through this lengthy process that you explained of sort of co-defining the problem you're addressing and your shared goals and so on, how do you now understand the public value that you're able to create collaboratively, independent of the value that you're creating in your individual institutions, but together through the group?
Can you define public value?
The public value that you're co-creating as a collaborative.
Interesting. Okay.
See, as I mentioned earlier, I think the public value that ADSG is creating, first, there are levels for this. I think one level is the being responsible organizations and being a transparent organizations. I think these two values are very important. I think the public would put high value on having responsible organizations, government or private sector or not for profit, in terms of the development of Abu Dhabi current and future, but also being transparent. On the second level, I think also a value that the group adds to its members, this platform of knowledge sharing, capacity building, training, recognition. Many of our members have embedded sustainability in their strategic planning. Dolphin Energy is one, Aramex, National Bank of Abu Dhabi. Today, and I think this is part of the achievements of the group, sustainability is being reported more than before. We have 21 sustainability reports issued to date in Abu Dhabi. Among the member organizations, we have the first Arab government organization, environment agency issuing sustainability report. We have the first Arab bank issuing sustainability report, the National Bank of Abu Dhabi, first Chamber of Commerce. So I can say both on the general kind of public value, we are being more transparent in terms of reporting our performance and being responsible in terms of improvement. Our members are protecting the environment. Aramex, for example, is a member of the group. They are contributing to lowering air pollution in terms of their electric vehicles. Health authority in terms of energy and water consumption. So I think that those, I can say, being responsible organizations, being transparent, but also for the members, creating this platform of knowledge sharing and adding value in terms of more efficient operations, less cost to the members.
Yeah, again, building up what Mr. Mohammed said here, I think that what concerns the public is that, I think looking at the private sector from public point of view is what are they providing to the community. This is I think one of the major questions they have. Is an organization that is within the community, what is it providing back to the community? What is the benefits and this kind of thing? So being transparent, as mentioned by Mr. Mohammed here, is a key issue, in my opinion, to these issues. And through our sustainability reports that we produced lately, we managed to share this information with the public. What are we doing from our side in the development of the community? Also, what are the benefits that our organization, let's say, or the private sector is providing to the community? Also, what are the issues that we want to minimize the impact on the community or the environment as well? What are the programs we are in place that we try to minimize impact as much as possible? For example, emissions. As you are aware, emissions is a big issue, a big discussion across the globe, not only in here. So we found that is important for us is to inform the public about this kind of about this issue that is concern for them. How can we, from our side, reduce or minimize the emissions as much as possible to the surrounding environment? We found that, and then the feedback we received that the people are appreciative to that. What are we doing to that to make sure that we have minimum or less impact to them to the surrounding community? Also, if we look at how our efforts to make sure that we have recycling programs in place to ensure that again minimizing the waste or the impact in the environment. So, and there are many examples similar in one way or another. Again, just to repeat what I said, is that transparency is very important thing. Make sure that we are responsible at the end of the day about our operations, about what our interaction with the public one way or another.
I think it's very practical definition for public value if I say that we address the needs of all members or our target groups by designing programs and deliver services to them, but according to their needs. But I think the best definition for public value, in addition to what I said about national analytical efforts, is what impact we have in the lifestyle of the family, what type of mindset we are creating for the future what type of member of families we are preparing for future challenges. I think this is the real public value for us. If we really have direct impact in families by changing what needs to be changed, because we have real values in our culture. We want to maintain them. They are very valuable, like the human values. We want to maintain them. We want to enhance them. We want them to be there to preserve them, especially the culture of having families. Now the concept of families is really shrinking or fading. No, we want to keep it. But there are other behaviors or conduct affect members of the family in a negative way. They don't go forward. They don't go forward. For that, I think the real public value from my perspective is to what extent we are preparing this family to face the future challenges with a very balanced personality and very healthy relationship with themselves and others.
Thank you. So I want to move soon to getting questions from the audience. But I would be completely remiss if I didn't ask you to talk a little bit about the challenges that you've run into along the way. This is a complex network of organizations you're bringing together, and a very big challenge you're asking them to address and to incorporate into their daily work. And so what have been some of the most critical challenges that you've faced as a collaborative effort along the way?
I would say the first thing being, coming from an environment agency, when we approached organizations, everybody thought this is about environmental sustainability. So the first challenge we faced, and we still face when we go, because when we go, we submit our environment agency business card. And we say sustainability, and people think this is environment system. So we had to get over that. This is not about environment only. Yes, it is environment sustainability, but also it's about the integrated management of environment, social, and economic. So that's one. The second one, I think also, it's all about perceptions, basically. Second one is, because we are a government, so people think this is a requirement, this is a regulation, this is, I need to submit my report to environment agency or to the government, and we have to engage that this is a voluntary, this is not mandatory, and we still get the question, when will this be mandatory? And we say our approach with this group is a more of a voluntary leadership, sense of responsibility from organizations. It's not going to be regulatory. If the government wishes to regulate sustainability reporting, that's the government's job. Maybe we'll reach there. Maybe this is a good choice, but the group will always be a forum for voluntary thoughts, ideas, and leadership. It's above what the regulations ask for. So regulations will put something. We're looking for leadership organizations who would go above what is required and will set example. So I think these are the of course, there are operational challenges that we face, and the biggest challenge now that we're facing is, okay, what's next? What's the future of the group? Where will it go? When we started, we said this will be incubated 3 years within the Environment Agency, but then once it is established, recognized, it will become a not-for-profit organization. That it will have its own legal status, and those 3 years ends by December 2011. So we still have that question, where from this? We are growing in number. We are 26 now. Our target 50 by 2012. And we are attracting more members. We are attracting attention. So I think the biggest challenge now is, okay, what's next? Where do we go from here?
I think two challenges I can identify is to have a common language that we all speak together the same. Also, to define common goals and our mission and goals, because obviously everyone is coming with different perspectives, coming with their own, let's say, priority list or their own issues, their own concerns. So to sit down together and discuss these and speak with this, try to unify all these point of view together, that's, for me, is a very challenging aspect. The other one is that after speaking the comment, trying to go over this challenge is to identify our priorities. That's also, I think it's a challenge, because each sector, obviously they will have their areas they want to focus on. Or they believe that these are the hot list, let's say, or the priority that we should addressing at the start. I think that's also another challenge, and it's a big challenge, I believe, where we're setting our priorities, agree on them, and they say this is where we should start addressing at the start. I think that's...
Mr. Ali had two challenges. I have 10. Okay. He mentioned 2 of them. Maybe the common understanding of the nature of the relationship between 2 entities. This is sometimes we really find it's very difficult to set it. Lack of the ability to prioritize the most important deliverables. We want to deliver things, and they want to deliver other things. For that, it's not important. Yeah, it's not easy to prioritize these deliverables. Okay, the absence of programs based on statistical facts or scientific findings. Sometimes we want, we don't find like a platform or a baseline to start our programs if not based on statistical or recent, let me say, or to correct myself, recent statistical evidence. If I'm going to design a program, it's unfair to refer to statistics 5 years ago, or at least 2 years ago, because you can see the rapid changes now. It's very obvious. Unclear initiatives, like sometimes we have one single initiative, and from our side they come and say, what is it? We haven't heard about it. It's not clear for them. If some of the social entities have these initiatives. Sometimes the domination of the media-oriented style of programs, for that you do this partnership for the media or for the sake of media or to show or something like this. No, we want real deliverables or something like this. No clear methodology of monitoring the work. Also no clear methodology or methods to evaluate the work, or even to correct the work if went wrong in one way or another. Also, we have the procedures. Sometimes the routine or the slow procedures with other parties sometimes might delay the work or the deliverables. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just noticed, I told my colleague that you have practiced sustainability by default. You ask questions, Mohammed will answer, and that gentleman, and again.
The sequence.
Sequence.
The sequence.
So it's a very sustainable performance.
For that, I was very relaxed that no one will ask me that first.
Well, actually, I have 2 questions. To be honest, just recently, American Society for Equality have conducted a study in what are the challenges might face organizations in the very near future. And one of the challenges, based on that study, where globalization, think global, lack of talent, rate of change. There are so many challenges they have came across. Again, my question to Mohammed, have you done also some similar studies? What are, I know you have mentioned 3 challenges, sustainable labor practices, purchasing, and waste management. But again, based on my experience, there are other challenges might face. Maybe the environment here in Abu Dhabi in particular and UAE in general. So I'm wondering if you have such more challenges other than the 3 that you have mentioned. I have a suggestion for you also, Mohammed. Why don't you, for example, promote research within the UAE? For example, UAE student or anybody would like to do future research, PhD or master degree research on sustainable, what they call performance within this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. Yes.
So I think in terms of challenges, I think Mohammed mentions globalization. I think it's an opportunity for us. It's an opportunity because of the principles in terms of responsibility and I'm talking about the group now as a partnership, not about individual organizations, because there might be challenges but as principles, globalization brings the principles of transparency, openness, responsibility. And I look at the positive side of globalization because there are other sides to it. For us, it's an opportunity because this is part of what we learn from other nations, what they have done. In terms of talents and lack of talents, I have not seen that research, but for the group, one challenge is the high rate of turnover within the working force, because all our organizations are made up of locals and expatriates, and there is we spend time and effort in training people, and they move around. So many of the people that we have worked with and built capacity within us are moving around. So that's a challenge. We hope the more we provide training and organizations adopt it, we will overcome that. In terms of research, we want to do research. ADSG, part of the development of ADSG, we are picking up a role now that was not part of the initial mission, which is giving policy advice to the government. And part of this, we would like to do certain research. One key research that we would like to do, and we are trying to engage key stakeholders, is what we call one of the flagship programs that we're just starting. We call it ASAP, as soon as possible, which is Abu Dhabi Sustainability Analysis and Pathways. And basically, we're trying to look at what has been done in Abu Dhabi, because again, as I mentioned, we don't have this holistic view. We don't have partners working together. And what we want to do is to look at everything that has been done, good work from different angles, and have an assessment and develop some scenarios to the future. What would be future of Abu Dhabi in terms of sustainability 2030, 2050? And then try to identify actions to know. So we ourselves want to do research. In terms of sponsoring the students, I think we're still at the initial, we're still young, small, resources are not that much. Our members are encouraging research, so we have within the group members who are sponsoring students to do research. But I think it's a good point to consider within the group.
Thank you very much. My name is Ali Lamoudi. I work with ADNOC, so I'm from the petroleum sector. Of course, I'm also a member of Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group. So if I'm going to say something, so that means I'm going to say it from within the organization, as well as they say, the bird eye vision. So that can see from in and out, outside, external. First of all, I would like to thank all the speakers, Mr. Mohammed and Mr. Ali, Dr. Jamila, and also New York University for this diversity vision and the diversity knowledge sharing and the perspective of their programs, their views on sustainability, and as well as their, I can say, sight and their vision towards community. I can say sustainability is something, it's something new. I can say something to the community of Abu Dhabi, UAE, to the region, the GCC countries, as well as the Middle East. I worked with United Nations, that was in 1993, where UNDP first came with this issue after 1992, the World Summit in Rio de Janeiro. So everybody knows about this. The Earth Summit that was held in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, the world came out with environment and development. And that's when the sustainability issue raised. So UNDP started this program, and they select people from all over the world. I was one of the, alhamdulillah, one of these people who have been selected as SDA, Sustainable Development Advisor. At that time, in the 90s, this issue was still being connected, as Mr. Mohammed mentioned, when he said Environment Agency, EAD, people thought that it's environmental sustainability. What it is a triangle. You have connection of economics, social, and environment. And this prospect or this strategy or philosophy of sustainability came on later stage to be hooked together with community and with social or the society. I would like to thank all of them. They have given their perspectives, their vision, how we can go further, and what the challenges that they have. I can say one of the points that Dr. Jamila, I would really admire what she said, Dr. Jamila, when she mentioned about United Nations. United Nations programs, they depends most on the civil society, the vision of the grassroots, of the people themselves, the community, how they react with whatever activities it comes from the NGO, from the civil society. Very important. This is what we want to see in Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group. I feel that there should be a representation of the civil society in this organization. That's what I'm saying, because I'm within this group. We want to see what other non-governmental organizations are doing, how they communicate with the people. Is there any understanding of the people, of the common people, about sustainability? In my organization, in ADNOC, we have 18 OPCOs, means oil companies. Each one now, for the second year, we are issuing every year the sustainability report. This is mandatory. Every company publish its final or annual report. Used to be as HSE letter. Now it's a sustainability rating. So it's a mandatory. What I want to say that we need to have the participation of the civil society and to understand what the people want, because this is very important. As my colleague, mentioned, he's from Itisalat. Whenever I passed in Arabian Road, Arabian Gulf Road, there is a big notice says Itisalat. Of course, one of their programs is to reduce carbon footprint. And if you would see, this is a good step towards sustainability, to reduce or minimize the carbon footprint, which means we save energy. We are trying to minimize the emission of greenhouse gases and CO2 emissions as well. Mr. Ali also mentioned about Dolphin strategy to save energy and to give cleaner energy to the community.
Okay, I want to, do you have a second more? And then I'd like to give an opportunity for response so that we can get other voices in
if
as
I'm
well.
Not in, but what I want to say, and my question crosses the three diversity vision, that it is very important that to give the sustainability more, I can say, more imposing reaction towards the community. That we need to have this strong relationship between the organization, private sector, governmental sector, and the academic as well. New York University, I would love if we can. One of the academic researchers could be here today. He give us his perspective from research point or academic point of view. Mm-hmm. So we need to see to what extent we can improve. There is an area of improvement that we can improve our sustainability approach toward the future. Mm-hmm. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes,
Thank
Dr.
you so
Jamila.
much for your comments. They are very valuable. And in fact, for us as FDF, as a social entity, we have two challenges: the implementation of the sustainability standards and KPIs itself through our programs, and to educate families and interpret or explain the terms itself, not only for the families, for members also, for our staff, for our leadership inside the FDF. It's a real challenge for us. For that, we are going parallel with two plans to educate internal and external training and implement the KPIs and standards of the sustainability itself. This is very important, and thank you to raise this issue. Maybe FDF has very important role, or what I can say, it's advantage. We have direct access to the families. For that, Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group, or even the private sector, if they want to educate families about any concept, they can do it through us. We have community reach. For that, this is the main value for FDF with the private sector, or even with their stakeholders. For that, we have the direct access to families. For that, we can educate them. We have 15 different centers distributed in the western, eastern area and the middle area of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. For that, we have direct access to the families. For that, we can educate them about anything if it is required by our stakeholders or strategic partners. Thank you.
And what about this question of sort of getting the community voice into the work of the group?
I don't think this has to be raised by us. This is very high level. This is with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, because I'm member of the team who writes the report to the UN. I'm honored and proud to be one of our member of this team. For that, they are selected by the Foreign Affairs, but I think we need now, it's high time for us in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi to have an entity which monitors the social sectors. Now we are champions in the social sector amongst the government or the public area, but we don't have any entity which can really monitor the achievement or the work of these sectors. We need someone to monitor before we give it to external people to monitor it. For that, I think it's high time for us to do it in the government for Abu Dhabi, but I don't know if it's through the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Group they can do it or not. This can be answered by Mr. Mohammed.
Something you'd like to address now?
In terms of the general public, as I mentioned, we are focusing on organizations. And our focus is to build capacity within organizations to adopt sustainability in their practices. Now they deal with their own stakeholders. So if it is Dolphin, then by adopting sustainability, they have their customers, their shareholders, but directly we don't do that. So we are not taking the role of other organizations. All we do is build capacity within our members, but also work collectively to have an impact. Pick some key issues, share knowledge about them, discuss them, have some actions that we can collectively have an impact. In terms of civil society, as I mentioned earlier, there are no such as, it's not like in other nations or countries. Yeah. So what we opted for, the not-for-profit organization. So we have on board Khalifa Fund, we have Family Development, we have Emirates Foundation. We have a not-for-profit organizations that today represent, in a way, but also our own organization. The government also represent the general public in Abu Dhabi. So, but the general principle that we work with, we don't say no to any organization who comes and says we want to adopt sustainability. We are happy. So if there is any organization that is operating in Abu Dhabi that says we want to adopt sustainability, we say yes, please come. You can participate in our training, you can attend our sessions. We don't have, we are more than happy to have people saying we want to be sustainable.
Okay, wonderful.
Do many of the companies in your extended network push back on sustainability implementation by asking for more quantifiable evidence of the benefits beyond the ethics, in particular in regards to profitability? And if so, are there many studies out there that are able to provide that at the moment?
I did not get the beginning of the question.
It wasn't clear to you? Okay. I think you're asking, are there organizations among the members who sometimes push back on the sustainability agenda? In other words, resist it in some way, or say it's too aggressive, or what have you, and are demanding more clear evidence that it's important to do beyond sort of the ethical and moral call to create sustainability for future generations. Am I getting you correctly?
And are they asking about the profitability benefits as well?
Great. So what goes into their cost-benefit analysis of whether or not to engage with this agenda?
Are there any groups that have done studies that are able to answer that question?
Great. So maybe there's sort of two perspectives from which to address this, and one is, Ms. Charlie, from your perspective as a private company that's engaged this, what goes into your cost-benefit analysis in doing this kind of work and in engaging the sustainability agenda? Are there studies out there that influence you in taking it up, and what do you see among your peers?
Well, this is where the importance is to have a common language, speak together about it when we try to define what are the projects or the initiatives we want to give to the community or to the other members. I think it is important to, I think you said quantifiable benefits, or you mentioned what are the benefits as a private sector. We want to know what are the benefits that we give, actually, we get from these, let's say, common initiatives or something to the public. I think this is where important is to when we sit down with the various sectors, is to agree on the common goal or the common mission of this initiative. What is the benefit is to the public. From a private sector, we don't get. I mean, it's not important for us the cost-benefit analysis in here, because we have our own business and we have our main line of business where we actually existed for it. This one is our. We find it is our commitment to the society, our responsibility to society, to support the society, and the benefit that we gain from there is how we actually adding value, or not only how we actually can benefit the society, or how can we invest in the society in one sector or another. How can we actually, I go back to the environment because it's one of our main issues, but actually we look at the human development sides. How can we invest in training, let's say, our employees, or training, let's say, the new generations, or the education of the new generations, which we hope that will join us in the organizations later on. This is for us is added value, because it's a value return, because we want to ensure that continue with decay of generation of adequate, qualified employees, future employees actually, to go back to come to join us in the future. This is how we measure profitability for us. This is actually we consider as a profit. Yeah.
Thank you. And Mr. Mohammed, the last word on this topic?
Yes, yes, there is, I think, and especially currently with the financial difficulties, organizations saying is, okay, what's in it for us, and how can you prove it? And it's a bit difficult at this stage of the ADSG. I've given the example of the call center, which is a sustainable solution. It provides financial gains for the private sector organization that I mentioned, but also it provides some value to the social issues. We're working, I think, I hope I can say this, we're working with the New York University on measuring sustainability. Basically, when we've tried in the Environment Agency several years, we've experimented with different frameworks and measurement systems, whether it is the Environmental Performance Index, the ecological footprint, the wealth accounting. We're trying to find a way to measure sustainability. What's the value? What's the public value of sustainability and sustainable solutions? And the most difficult is how you value intangibles. And sustainability is something intangible, really. So we are working, it's at start of working with a project to define what's the public value in such, but the question is there, and we're trying to attract, when I said leadership organizations, I meant organizations who are willing to take the extra mile, to work with solutions and be a role model and show the value of sustainable solutions. But it is being asked.
Well, thank you so much. As I mentioned, we've acknowledged in our collaborative seminar and in the research, it acknowledges that these aren't easy ways of working, these collaborative processes. And so we've explored how you've worked together, we've picked it apart and discussed it, but let's close by celebrating it, because this is a very unique and rare accomplishment, that you've been able to form this group, get everybody's trust, get people aligned, and that you're achieving real results with it. So I want to acknowledge that and celebrate it as we close. Thank you so much.
Thank you.